Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to the Hot Seat. And tonight, I believe, we have a very appropriate guest who will keep the seat hot. And we have none other than the very inimitable Mr. Upul Jayasuriya. Good evening to you, Mr. Jayasuriya.
Good evening, Faraz.
Thank you very much for being in the hot seat, but obviously not as hot as the chairmanship of the BOI.
Yes, it used to be hot, not anymore.
So you're enjoying the not being there part?
Well, yes, I always enjoy my prior practice, which I didn't give up even before. Well, now I can be more actively spending more time in my practice.
And can you tell us why you left? Can you be as candid as you can?
Well, I said even before that it was my personal decision to accept the appointment, and also there was another reason why I accepted it, because I was also involved with the BOI, as it was called then, as a Greater Colombo Economic Commission in 1978. The government came into power in 1977 July. The law became operative on the 7th of March 78. That happened to my birthday also. So
a bit of nostalgia there.
Yes. So, and I was also involved with Mr. Paul Pereira and Mr. Priya Amarasinghe, who is now a doctor, in the drafting of the BOI law also. So that's the reason I took it up.
I see.
Then after about 2.5 years, I thought I should take a break.
I see. Well, obviously there is a story, but you're not sharing it. Are you writing a biography or something? Is that
I'm writing something with regard to the period that I spent, not at the BOI, but as the president of the Bar Association. That was 2 hectic years.
All right, we'll ask you some questions, see whether we can have a bit of light thrown onto this. I'd like to start off by asking you about the land that was allocated to to set up a tire factory. Now, am I right in thinking, or in my understanding, that when the BOI allocates land, they have certain preset prices for different bits of land that they have, and that this land in, I think it's in Horana, had carried a price tag of around $40,000 an acre?
I think it's $30,000.
$30,000, okay. So $30,000 an acre. But we have information to suggest that initially that land was going to be allocated at $10,000 an acre, and that eventually, after some consternation was raised, that it was allocated at the rate of $15,000 an acre. It sounds like it's a 50% discount.
Yes. Let me explain this. Originally, the decision by the cabinet was to give it on the government value as valuation.
Right.
Usually, BOI lands, different zones have different prices.
Right.
Horana, the price tag was $30,000. You're right. But that means that when we give the land, we must also give the land developed, ready for investor to come and set up his factory.
Right.
So this particular land, we have not done the infrastructure development, like the surface drainage, electricity, and the internal roadways and so on.
Right.
Like it has been done in many other zones.
Right.
So it couldn't be the same price.
Right.
I agree with that. But then what happened was, when the cabinet decided that it should be sold at the government value as valuation, which was 171 million rupees,
Right.
There were also vouchers that were made, or attempts that were made, to get the development also to be done by the BOI. There were some letters to that effect.
Right.
But then I resisted that. I said, no, nothing doing.
Because this 171 million is a lower price anyway.
Yes. I got it assessed by our engineering department, and then they told me that it would cost about approximately $325 million rupees to develop the land.
325 million.
325 million.
So it's over $2 million.
Yes. So then I put the responsibility of developing of the land to the investor.
Right.
Plus, I wanted to take the price of the cost of the land that was to be sold to him from 171 million rupees, which was the government valuation, to a reasonable figure, and I suggested 250 million rupees.
Right. Okay.
But then he came to a via media agreement, settlement, and it was agreed to buy it at 210 million rupees,
Right.
which meant that it was going to cost him 325 million rupees plus 210, that is 535 million.
Right.
So if it was on the basis of the BOI pricing, $30,000 into 100 would have been $3 million,
Yeah.
and that would have been
About 450 million.
So the price that we got on this basis was even better than the price that we would have got otherwise.
I see. So on the face of it, there was a discount, but when you looked at the fact that you didn't spend, so in that respect, was it a fair? Was it a fair
I think
price?
it is fair because finally it has cost the investor more than what it would have cost if we did the development. Sometimes even if we did the development, that may not have been to the satisfaction of the investor. So
Right.
he has the option of doing it himself.
And then what about the rental? I'm told that the rental would in that area would be, the BOI price would be something in the region of $4,000 per acre per annum.
Yes, for BOI lands, that was the rate. But since this land was not developed at the time of giving the land, it was just a bare land, we were not charging a rent, and that was the decision of the cabinet.
So the cabinet passed a document that would give this land away, the rental, the ground rental, at 10 rupees or 7
I would think
US
the
cents.
basis of that decision was that at the time of our giving the land to them, it was not a developed land. It's probably on that basis that makes some kind of a justification on that.
But it must be one hell of a justification. It's 7 US cents versus $4,000.
It's a nominal thing, obviously. It's not a.
Yeah. Basically, they gave it away for free.
Now, there again, there's another issue. Now, when the BOI is charging that amount of money from the investor, BOI has to maintain all the services.
Right.
But here again,
You're saving on that too.
we are not maintaining those services. Those services, the responsibility is also now cast upon the investor.
And who put up the cabinet paper to set the ground rent at virtually nothing?
It should be the subject minister, Minister of
Minister of International Trade.
Yes.
Right. So, do you think, as a lawyer now, that in some sort of future government, that some outfit like the FCID or somebody like that would be looking to see whether the public interest was best served by charging a peppercorn rental instead of the higher rental?
Now, as I said earlier, the issue becomes clear with the kind of, you can't just charge money from people. There must be a service to be provided for.
Right.
If you are not providing a service, then we can't charge that kind of a rental.
Right.
So here we are not providing the services, so then we can't charge the annual rental.
Right.
On the other hand, the development was done by them, so that's a cost on them, plus they had to pay the amount of money, that's 210 million rupees, is not, when you add up both,
So there are similarities.
add up both is more than,
So there are similarities about what President Jayawardena did with the Hilton, the land where the Colombo Hilton stands now.
so not only that, and even the Shangri-La Hotel has been given on an outright basis. They were lands that were originally given to the BOI but given to these various investors. So this kind of policy has not been hard and fast rules that have been applied across the board. Because I think the basis of that again is the BOI's function and the duty is to draw the investment,
Right.
not selling land.
Right. You're not real estate brokers.
We are not
really.
real estate brokers.
On that note, we'll take a short break. And on the other side of the break, we'll have more interesting news to talk about, like Mr. Paint, for example. Don't go away. This is The Hot Seat. Welcome back to The Hot Seat. Very good evening to you. Our guest tonight, of course, is Mr. Upal Jayasuriya. Mr. Jayasuriya, one more one more hot story. Mr. Paint. What's that all about?
Mr. Paint is a local company.
Yeah.
Now, they have had some leases from the JDB some time back, and the total land, which is the subject matter, is about 254 purchase. Now, out of this land, there were 3 leases, and there was only 1 lease that was remaining.
Okay.
Other 2 leases have all expired. Now, out of the remaining lease, that was confined to 24 purchase.
24.
Approximately.
A small
portion. Now, in the meantime, he has gone to court and then got an enjoining order preventing JDP from selling to third party and so on.
Yeah.
Then he was making use of that court order and then trying to buy it at a price of his choice. And of course, 2014 cabinet has decided that it should be given to him on the basis of the government valuation again.
Right.
And the government valuation came to something like 4.5 million rupees a perch in 2014.
Right.
After the change of the regime,
yeah, this
was told to me, and then I said, look, we have to do a fresh valuation in 2015, and the fresh valuation came to something like 5.5 million rupees a perch.
Okay.
But then again, we found that there were a lot of pressure that was being brought on me by various parties, known parties, that they should be sold the land at this government valuation. But when we really found out that the land was, the price of this land is much more than that.
Right.
We summoned a meeting with all the parties concerned, and at that meeting, the JDB was present, the Mr. Paint was present, and their investor, the Asia Capital, is a public quoted company, they were present. And so the JDB said that they would like to sell this land at 7.5 million rupees a perch.
Right.
Then at that stage, Mr. Paint, I think the local investor, was very upset about it, and then he was fighting and saying that this is very unfair and that we have agreed to give it at the government valuation, or rather the decision has been by the cabinet is to give it at the government valuation.
Right.
I said, look, here is a government institution. They don't have money to pay their EPF. There are so many court cases against the directors to recover the EPF, and this money is going to the government corporation. I said, this can't be allowed. So, and let's ask the investor whether he's willing to pay that price.
Right.
So we brought pressure on the investor to put the bid higher.
Right.
And they in fact said at the meeting itself, I think the very next day they confirmed it in writing, that they were willing to go up to 7.5 million rupees a perch.
7.5 now.
7.5.
Right.
Now, immediately from 5.5 million, it has gone up by 2 million rupees a perch.
Yeah.
Into 250 perches,
that's a bit.
That's 500 million rupees.
Yeah, not to be sneezed at.
It's not a small amount of money.
Yeah.
Then we were ready to, at a certain stage, there was a lot of pressure. They were applying pressure on me to allow this land transaction to go through.
Right.
Anyway, now that the price has also gone up, I agreed that it can be sold at this price, and then again it was to be entered into, agreements were to be entered into for the JDB to sell the land to them at 7.5 million rupees.
Right.
At the last moment we found again that the price of that land was not 7.5 million rupees a perch, but nearly 12.5 million rupees a perch.
How did you sort of stumble upon that figure?
The investor told us.
Oh.
Investor told us, but they did not volunteer to say that. But you know, with various means, we found that out, and then I confronted him. He agreed. Yes, it is at 12.5 million rupees.
Right.
Then that amount of money, again another more than how much? About nearly more than 1 billion rupees, more than 1,000 million rupees was going to a guy who has only 24 purchases of land on a lease. So this is like a tail wagging the dog, and also this is money that should go to a government institution which is broke.
Right.
So then again, at the last moment, I stopped this transaction going through. I mean, if it went through people would have been pointing the finger at me, saying, how the hell did I allow this to go through under my own purview? Though we were not the ones who were selling the land or buying the land, we were facilitating that.
So eventually the Japanese investor went somewhere else?
Eventually, that transaction didn't go through.
Right.
I think they made that same investment in some other place.
Yes. Right.
I think they bought a land from the UDA.
I see. Right, so we've done that, and on that note, we'll take a short break. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Good evening and welcome back to the Hot Seat, where we have in attendance tonight Mr. Upul Jayasuriya. Now then, Mr. Jayasuriya, we asked you all sorts of other questions before, but you're a lawyer, and I believe your passion is the judiciary. What on earth is going there? Why is it so delayed and fraught with delays, and people blaming the AG's department for this, that and the other, some people praising the AG's department? So what's really the problem there?
I think this must be understood by the public and also by the persons concerned. Attorney General's department has a very illustrious past.
Right.
And even the present is not different to that. The people there, they get a meager salary, but they work with a lot of commitment. And that is to be appreciated by the society. And people they work till late in the night in office, take home the files, and sometimes they break all night, rest, and then study, and then come to court and then argue cases. There's so much of work, but they are really underpaid. Nothing to compare with the private sector salaries. But now, the delays, your issue was delays. Why are the delays taking place? This amount of workload, as you know, large number of corruption cases have been now sent to the AG's department. I won't say they are political cases. There may be politicians that are involved in these cases. They also have to be given preferences because these are huge amount of monies that are
at stake. We're talking about.
At stake. So people have given a mandate to this government on the other side. They are expecting these cases to be taken up fast and then disposed of. What are the obstacles that are there in disposing of these cases faster? Well, we must understand that all the high courts are overworked. In the meantime, there are about 5 other vacancies that can be filled up immediately of the high courts. And they can be filled up immediately. In addition, the Ministry of Justice even now can take steps to enhance the cadre of high courts by another 10 or 15 or 20 even. And even appoint ad hoc judges. There are high court commissioners that can be appointed. The constitution provides for it. Or there are also the judges of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka can be appointed. Those vacancies are there, about 16 vacancies. If they are filled up, we must give budgetary allocations and budgetary provisions. Now that's the duty of the minister and the ministry.
Right.
If that is done, then the Attorney General's department can be assisted to expedite these cases. Then what about the cadres that they have? They have the same number of state councils to do all these cases. I think they have to increase the cadre by about another 50 with all these cases coming in there. They must be provided with the budgeted provision. But if you stifle that by any ministry, by the ministry concerned, then you are not helping them. It's not a question of anyone having to tell the Attorney General to expedite the cases. The Attorney General can't expedite cases. There is a process. To do that, there are certain other factors that has to be placed right. That's the responsibility of the Ministry of Justice.
Right, I see. And that really is the long and tall and short of that story. Yeah,
in addition to that, now if you are looking at the responsibility of the Ministry of Justice, I'm not making any reference to any person, individual. Now there again, if you look at the District Court of Colombo, if you file a case today, to get the summons issued, it takes about more than 6 to 7, 8 months sometimes.
Wow.
To get the summons issued, because there is no binder.
Now, there's no binder?
There is no binder.
This is as bad as Faisal Mustafa saying that there were spelling mistakes when he could have just pressed F7 and the spell check would have come in. But please carry on.
Then, in addition
it's
to that,
astounding what you're saying.
This is astounding. Now, if you ask for a certified copy of a proceeding, it will take more than 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes the next trial date is within that period.
Because
there are no photocopiers.
Oh, dear me.
Now, whose responsibility is this?
I see.
This is the responsibility of a ministry.
Right.
We need courthouses. Now they are building courthouses. During the previous regime, they have been putting up luxurious courthouses all over the place. They put up the courthouses, but there is no office for the lawyers. Then, in the meantime, having the courthouses, the building itself is of no purpose or use if you do not give them the infrastructure facilities. Sometimes there is no furniture. There is no electricity. There is no basic things are not there. There are no toilets. Even if the toilets are there, they are not maintained. But the basic stuff is something like the photocopy machine. There must be systems introduced. Now, why should there be applications to be made by all parties to get certified copies of the previous day's proceedings or today's proceedings? If we are in a modern age, why can't we have a system where the steno who prepares the printout, when he is putting that printout in the record, why can't that be made available by email to the lawyers of the two parties?
I quite agree with you.
So you can cut down these delays. If there are at least 5, 6 binders or 10 binders can be deployed. As you file the case today, you can have the summons issued within the course of the week. We don't have to waste 7, 8 months' time.
So actually, and again, by the same token, can the delays in law, the law's delays, can it be resolved at least partially by the courts working longer hours instead of finishing at 3 o'clock?
No, what the public don't see is not only the work that is involved, is not only the court proceedings in open court. There is a back office operation that has to go on in preparing the proceedings. The judges have to read these proceedings. They have to write orders. So all that has to happen after the adjournment. What you don't see, that's what happened closed doors or in the chambers, things like that. So we have to have time for that. The judges are not paid overtime. They are not asking. They are not getting the.
Are they well paid? Are they well paid?
They're paid better than they were, but they are not. I can't say they are well paid. They even when you go to the outstation courthouses, the basics are not met for the judges. If you look at their residences, you don't have furniture. It's a small house sometimes. There are no other facilities. So these are things that can be.
And would it be wrong for somebody in that area, a businessman from that area, to go and give the judge some furniture?
No way. No way. That cannot be allowed. We won't allow that, and no judge will take that kind of furniture. That is a duty or the responsibility of the Ministry of Justice. They have to procure all these requirements and then have it delivered.
I only asked you about that because we had one minister whose rental was paid by a sort of a related friend and a related connected party.
That's not a known situation in the legal parlance or in the courts situation.
I see. Can I quickly ask you a very quick question? We've seen all these resignations and so on. We see somebody who's come back after a suitable period. My question to you is this. When somebody resigns his or her position, say as a minister, is there a logical gestation period before they can come back?
It's a matter of conscience.
Right.
If I decided to resign for some reason of my own, and maybe I may have diverged, maybe I may not have diverged. But if tomorrow I go and take up another appointment somewhere else, then my credibility is gone. My credibility is gone. It is the honor and the dignity that one maintains in the society. If he values that honor and dignity, I don't think anyone will take up an appointment like that. If we are gone. There was some reason why that whoever gives a resignation, why he resigned. I don't see how that reason could diminish from his own conscience or from the knowledge of the other people. If that be the case, I don't think anyone, having resigned, once you are gone, you must be gone.
Is that only for the currency of this parliament? And then can they next parliament, can they contest, get elected, and then expect genuinely to come back and hold senior job?
I quite didn't get what you said.
You know, that's fine what you said. However, would this resignation only last for the currency of this parliament? And is it possible that they contest the next parliamentary elections, and then will their badness be erased?
Well, there you can at least make a point to say that you have gone before the people and then got a fresh mandate from the people.
Right.
Okay, this is what I had done. These are all these allegations and cross.
But notwithstanding all that, I've been re-elected.
If you are re-elected, the people have given them a fresh mandate.
Right.
And then that there can be a different argument. But not if you are to be appointed to the national list and then the same perks are to be given again.
Upul Jayasuri, it's been a wonderful half an hour. It's finished far too quickly. Thank you very much for being on the hot seat.
Thank you for us. Thank you very much.
And that's it from the hot seat. We'll see you same time, same place in a fortnight's time. Take care. Good night.